Cool, man, dude. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. This is dope.
Awesome. Yeah, so this podcast is all about you, man, and your journey in music and how you got to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I did read you're from Jersey. Is that true? Born and raised in
Yep, I'm from central New Jersey in a small town called Watchung.
Okay.
Yeah, and then more recently I moved out to LA, but I've been all over the place. I've been in Maine for a little. I've been in Colorado for a little. So I travel all around the place.
Right on. I saw also that you're from like a creative household, a musical family, or no?
Yeah. So did everything just cut out? Am I good? You can see me?
Just for a second. Yeah, I got you're there. Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up in a household where everyone always encouraged like music and just being creative. My mom's an artist.
That's awesome.
And yeah, she's always like drawing or painting or designing. She actually does all my merch, which is cool.
Does she? That's so rad. I was wondering about that. If with an artistic mother, that makes it make easier to get somebody to do your artwork.
Yeah, dude. She did the Dolo Tonight logo, and she's done the shirts and the backpacks and the bean bags. And all my early cover art. She does. And she's just hyped. She just like sits at her computer all day. And she's like, oh, I came up with an idea. And I'm like, oh, dope.
That is so rad. That's so sick. Very cool. Okay. So how did you get into music? Obviously from your parents or like?
No, I kind of like just picked it up. I think that like it was really early on. I remember that my parents went out to dinner one night and we had a babysitter come through and they gave me this like Yamaha like 4-pad drum kit, and I was hitting it with my knuckles, and my knuckles were like completely raw. And by the end of the night, my parents came home and they were like, are you good? Like, what happened? And the babysitter was like, yo, he's just like super into this drum pad that I gave him. And then like pretty much right after that, my parents got me a real drum set. So I was playing the drums, like evolved to a real drum set. And then I was in jazz band in middle school and high school, and just like freestyling, rapping at lunch, and just like getting as much involved, like doing like the small little shows at like the firehouse and like whatever local place I could pull up.
Yeah. Wow. So drums were your first instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, drums are definitely my first instrument.
How old were you?
I have like horrible ADD, so it was super easy for me to just like pick up something and just snap stuff. Like that's the perfect instrument.
I was gonna say my 4-year-old son, I bought it's funny that you say that because my 4-year-old son has so much energy. It's like out of control. Like I could have him run outside, do laps for like 2 hours. He'll still come in and be like ready to go. So during quarantine, when quarantine first started, we bought him an electric kit. Just so I'm like, go bang on this. So
it's over, dude. It's too late. You already started him.
Yeah. So hopefully he'll be in your position one day. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear that. I imagine so. It's definitely an addicting instrument to play. Especially like I used to just like drum along to my favorite songs, which is just like makes it that much more fun. So
sure.
But I had the worst drum teacher in middle school. Like I had an independent drum teacher outside of school, but in school, I had this Cruella de Vil. Like he was just drilling it in, man. Like it was not fun, but she definitely taught me what I needed to know to like get going. And shout her out. I don't even really remember her name. I don't know if I would say it if I did, but
don't give her that kind of credit.
Yeah, she was Cruella de Vil, man. She was like she's like, you need to practice your rudiments when you're watching TV. Like she was just like
so marching band.
Yeah, marching band and jazz band, just like everything that I could be in, pretty much.
Wow. When did you start like playing with? I mean, middle school. That's young. Like you must have been pretty good, obviously, to even into middle school if you were banging around on the kit as a little kid, right? I mean, when did you get the drum kit, the actual kit, or the actual more of a upgraded setup?
Yeah, I finally got like a real setup. I would say like sometime in middle school, like probably. Okay. Yeah, because I used to just have this like little like jazz kit, and then like I just started getting cymbals and buying everything I could, and then eventually it just kind of turned into just making songs in general, and it wasn't even drums anymore, and it was just like writing songs and writing raps. And I remember like weirdly the first song I wrote was like right when my cat had died, but it like wasn't about that at all.
Okay.
And my dad had found the song, and like I was super into Eminem at the time, and there was like kind of disturbing lyrics just
I'm
because
sure,
like
of course.
I was so into Eminem.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, copying that type of style. And my dad was like, we were like out to Chinese food. And he's like, "Are you okay? Like, I just want to make sure like that you're dealing with this okay." And I was like, "No, it's not about that. Like, it's not about that at all." But that was like
about the cat.
Yeah, one of the first memories I have just about writing a song was like around that time on that day, but it had nothing to do with it.
That's interesting. How are you recording the songs?
I was recording voice notes on my like Android phone and just like putting them on SoundCloud.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, right to SoundCloud. Back then there was a record feature, like put it right on. So I would just like save
no edits.
It's like, I think it's like user 455733 something, like two more numbers, and all of my old stuff is on there. So if anyone listening to this wants to go dig that,
Matt, you know, so many people are going to be all day hitting in those last two numbers trying to figure it out.
One.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Wow, I didn't even realize you could do that straight up to SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So, where you were just all of voice notes, then so it was just like a cappella.
I would play stuff off like my laptop and have the beat going in the background and have my phone here, like, and then I was on like Audacity, like,
okay, yeah.
Oh man, bro, like
the free program.
I was just like thinking I was dope. My brother was also into music, and he had a mic because he wanted to go to college to be an engineer.
Okay.
Ended up doing finance, which is totally different. But he had like a small setup, so I took his preamp and his mic, and I was just like, eventually it turned into a little smaller setup, and then we started going to different studios locally, like just in the middle of nowhere. Like it went, like we used to record in the back of a church, like
wow.
The church let this dude record, like stay for free and record his music for free there, so we used to record there. All in every closet in New Jersey, like probably everyone
in every closet in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. So when did you start kind of gaining tractions? Like when does Dolo Tonight begin, and like how far down in your journey does that start?
I would say like sometime in high school. Like my friends call me Dolo just because like I always do my own thing. Like I'll be at a party with them, and then I'll just like be gone, and they'll be like, "Where did he go?" And they'll be like, "Oh, no, he's Dolo." That's just like kind of how it's been. So that name had stuck on for a while. And then Dolo Tonight came because I just wanted like something that really felt like a movement and just like a feeling as a name. So I picked that, or like after kind of being deemed it. And then I started dropping stuff on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, everywhere I could. While like simultaneously going to college, and then it kind of just like started working for no reason, or maybe for a reason, but who knows?
Maybe because you have quite a bit of talent. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah. And around that similar time, I had met my engineer Michael Ashby, who I've recorded with, and we really like figured out my sound and just locked into like, you know, figuring out my artistry and just like what I wanted to sound like, and I had really put together these songs that I wanted to put out. So I put them out, and they started going. And then I ended up, I was in college for food science at the time, weirdly enough. I wanted to be a flavorist, which is someone who like decides what, like gets to make up soft drink flavors. Like it would have been super cool.
Whoa, that's rad. I've never even heard of that. A food science? Food science.
Yeah. And quick sidebar, I actually figured out that I wanted to do that because I was in like class in high school, and they were like, pick a job. Like, so I just went on like weirdest jobs ever. And I found that was a real job. So I was like, yo, that actually sounds kind of dope. Like I love cooking. I love food. Like I have my own cookbook out. Do
you really?
Yeah, I do.
No way.
That's Dolo's Tasty Tidbits. It's on like Amazon.
Really? I'm looking it up right after this. That's dope.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a flavorist because I just thought it was dope and kind of
so cool.
rad. But then I ended up like calling my mom like late night, and I was like, yo, like, I hate this. I have to take all these chemistry classes. I have to take all these math classes. I'm like, I'm good at school, but not like that.
Right.
So she's like, oh yeah, like, it seems like you've been putting so much effort into music. Like, why don't you just like go to school for music? And I was like, oh, you're cool with that? She was like, yeah, like, do that.
You're
So,
like, wait, so I don't have to like do some academic job?
yeah, exactly. I don't have to like in a cubicle. And then I ended up dropping out and going to, so I was in Maine at the time. And then I moved to Colorado and went to school for music, entertainment, industry studies. So I took all these music classes and did like touring and booking and all the different stuff, the piano and singing. And then again, I was like, yo, actually at that time I had dropped a song on Spotify and it was like starting to go, like really go.
Was that Pink Lemonade?
No, that was Zoom at the time.
Oh, Zoom. Okay.
And actually, no, I think that was Too Hot. No, rewind. That was Too High.
Okay.
So I had, and that was like one of the first like real songs I put out. And I was like, yo, I feel like I could be in class learning about touring, or I could just like go on tour. So again, like I talked to my professor who was like a big fan of mine, and he was like, it's crazy because he was actually had been in a band, had been like signed to a major label and toured around the world and done Jimmy Fallon and, you know, everything, and then came back to teach. So at the time he was like, yo, like my junior year of college, my professor told me drop out, do music full time. So who would I be if I didn't tell you to do that? So I called my mom again and my dad. I was like, yo,
I'm dropping out.
So I dropped out and went back to New York. And I just hit the streets and started freestyling off a whiteboard. There's still videos up on YouTube today of like, just you write, I'll rap. So I would have people write down words and I would just freestyle them on the spot on the street, which actually randomly got so many random like connections of people that I still like know and love today. Like, which is
That's
cool.
interesting. Which even ties back to like the Eminem stuff. Cause there's like early, I don't know if you can still find him online, but there's like this thing where he would just start going and then somebody would shout a word out and he would just throw it into the sentence. And it's like this, I think like a 15, 20 minute long, like verse that he does just off words that people were throwing out at him.
Yeah, that's definitely something that me and my friends had always been doing, was just like freestyling in my house or after school or just like at lunch, just you know, throwing words back and forth, like in my old broken down Honda, just like in a circle. So yeah, I ended up just like going to, I was like, I just want to do something that's just like on the street level, at least. Like if I can't, you know, get on a real tour, I'm just gonna go around. So yeah, I met so many dope people doing that. Like who I said again are just like still like really good friends of mine today. Like this one dude, Free Art, just like this fashion guy that recently, like we just linked up and like I rode on top of a bus on his bus that he painted. It was a whole thing, yo. Like, whoa. But it's just like crazy that like years later, like those early days of just like going to New York and hitting the streets and like talking to people really like turned into like these valuable relationships in my life, which is really cool.
Sure. That is amazing. That is really amazing. So once you got like Too High, you say you put up online and it starts doing really well. And at this point, your professor says, obviously this is working for you. You should, you know, pursue this. Like, what's the next step? I mean, you go to New York and you're trying to make these connections, but how do you take it to the next level?
Yeah. I ended up I kept at it, dude. That's like the main thing. And just created more songs, created some videos. I ended up putting just everything I could out into the space, more videos on YouTube, more songs on Spotify. And then I dropped Zoom, which was like a video that I had this idea that I just wanted to like go to space in a video, just the childhood feeling of like, oh, I wish, you know, when you could get into a cardboard box and be like, oh yeah, like I'm in space.
Sure.
Create that. So I put it up on YouTube, and it just so happened that this was like recently at the start of quarantine, not recently, and everyone was typing Zoom into YouTube because of Zoom calls. So, wow. So out of nowhere, it was the top result if you typed in Zoom. So all of a sudden it just starts moving And it was crazy. Like I was getting talked to by record labels and people were hitting me up and it was just like, yo, the comments were coming in like faster than me and my friend were sitting there. And that's like, at the moment I knew like it was bigger than me at that point. Cause it was like, I couldn't respond. I respond to all my comments and I couldn't respond fast enough because it was like 1 a second, like just going in. And I was like, yo, help me.
Whoa.
But yeah, that was really the tipping point. That's like what had done.
Wow. Okay. So you put that song out right as quarantine, right before it hit?
Yeah, right before. Like, I think I put it out 2 weeks before everyone like stopped doing everything. And then the second like Zoom calls happened, like it just went. And I was like, yo, like this is crazy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That is nuts. Well, speaking on the responding to every comment, which I think is so awesome. And I love that hear artists that do that. Cause I mean, even when I comment on something on Instagram and the person even just likes it, it's like, wow, they acknowledged this person that I really respect, acknowledges something that even if I just put like some fire, emoji or whatever. I mean, I just think it's so cool that there are artists that do that. But I love that you have text me cool stuff and you have like a texting number on your Instagram. Yeah. What cool stuff do people text? Does it get weird? And like, how do you even keep up with not only your Instagram and I'm sure all your other social media platforms, but this text line that you have?
Yeah. People definitely text me weird stuff, like me pictures of me, like, but like edited really weird with like tiny head and stuff. Like people definitely like really weird stuff. But I love it. I think that's dope. Like I encourage people to meme me out as far as like my fan base. Like if you want to like take a picture of me, deep fry it and send it to me, like that'll probably make my day. So
that's so cool.
But to answer the rest of the question, it's like it's not really that hard to like keep up with all the different social channels because I kind of like putting my life out there. Like I feel like it's cool to be able to share what I'm doing with people. But at times it's definitely hard to be like, all right, now I got to post to this and now I got to put this up and now I got to do. There's
it's a
like
job,
so
man.
many.
I mean, it is.
Yeah. I wish there was like a one place where you could just like put one up and it just like shoots out. But I guess the other thing is like each platform kind of has its own type of content. So it's not like one and done and put the same picture on every single channel and
yeah, because they had like Hootsuite and programs that did it in the beginning, but it was like when it was basically like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and it was like you could push the same picture little thing, but now it's like Instagram's like evolved into this totally different thing, and now you have stories, and then you have TikTok, which is a whole nother world, and like it's not as easy as make one thing and post it everywhere. It's like you have to be creative on so many different platforms. All the
communities are different. Like my YouTube heads are way different than like my IG followers. Like my YouTube people are just like crazy and like funny and just like wild, and like IG people are like really nice and sweet and sincere. So I mean, everyone is this kind of the same, but it's different. Like they materialize in different facets of like where you're putting up this content because of what you've put on a certain place. So it's like a whole trend, man.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I want to go back to this song with the song Zoom. And so this takes off and you have I mean, you were just doing it independently at this point, correct? And then these labels are reaching out to you. That must have been what a wild moment. Talk to me about that.
Definitely a trip. I had a couple of labels reach out to me just like, hey man, like we saw Zoom or whatever. I was super hyped. And then my one homie Cody ends up calling me and he's like, yo, I really like what you put out. I want to sign you to Asylum Records. I'm going to show you to my boss. And I was like, what? Like I was actually down the shore when he told me. And I was like on the toilet, like answering this text.
On the toilet.
I was like, yo, like, good thing I'm on the toilet right now. Like,
because I would have just,
it would have been done right there. But so God. Crazily enough, he ended up sending like, at this point I had already been working on like a full EP. Like I had 6 songs done that I had like really put a lot of effort into, and just like, I think everything had lined up to where it wasn't just like, oh, I put out a single and now like, what am I going to do? I had like the idea for the project and my concept and these visuals. And like plans to get videos in, and you know, it was pretty much finalized at the point that they had like been ready to go.
Okay, that's interesting because I've spoke to artists, or you know, over the course of the last couple of years that have had a moment like you were saying where you put a song up. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I've never done a song before and I'm gonna put it up and then it becomes this thing. But like you obviously been grinding and then you kind of hit this wave of
Mhm.
something that had happened. But then I've talked to people that have done that, and then it's like, okay, now what? I only had that one thing
Yeah.
going. Now they want me to put a record out, and it's like scramble time. But
Yeah.
you already had this EP you just released. Like it was already kind of a thing, or it was already
Mhm.
ready. Like, tell me about
It
the
was
EP.
it was like pretty much done because I had like when Zoom came out, quarantine happened, and like luckily my engineer was still able to record me. We had like he had shut down certain parts of the studio to be able to have like select people come through, and just like we were keeping it as good as we could during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But I had already been writing songs like crazy because I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do? I'm just inside all day. So I had just been like DMing people on Instagram and SoundCloud and like trying to get beats sent through and everything like that. And then eventually I had just had it all kind of finished and it was like ready to go in front of me. So at that point, yeah, I just had it almost done. It just needed like some small mixing in small different parts. Yeah, and it was ready to go. So when the time came, they were like, oh, what else do you have? You know, right when they wanted to figure out what to do, I was like, yo, I have this whole thing done. So my homie ended up showing it to his boss, and then they signed me like I think about 2 weeks later, which was crazy.
Oh wow! So it's kind of a no-brainer to go with Asylum, I would think, for you, right?
Yeah. I think that like they just had like a really nice team off the bat, and I had talked to other people and it just didn't feel as good to me. And
Mm-hmm.
and also like I've known Cody, my A&R, for a while.
Yeah.
So when he finally came out to me and was like, yo, it's time to go, like I heard what you did and I see like I think you're at the point where it makes sense. It was just a no-brainer. I was like, oh word, like let's run it. Like that's dope.
Yeah. So you signed the deal. You have the songs. Did you have the songs recorded already?
Yeah, I had the songs recorded. So it was
Okay.
just like, at that point, it was just like planning, putting it out, executing, getting videos made, doing more content. So it actually gave me a lot of time to focus on like other content. Like we did a little animated series and we did all sorts of extra stuff that I could just not originally do if I had to just crunch time on songs. So we got to focus on really cool details of the project and make it all kind of tie in and make sense, which is really, really cool.
That's also okay. So that's where the Cartoon Network, because I was reading your little bio and he says Bill Nye meets Cartoon Network meets rapper, which I get the Bill Nye thing because it was like you wanted to go to school for, you know, you were going to school for what was it? Food was I can't even remember.
Food science, yeah.
Food science, which to me, when you talk about making soda, I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I used to like, I don't even know. Maybe I'm dating myself with like suicide soda where you'd go and fill up. Do you know what I'm talking about? You take the cup and you fill up every soda into one cup, and that would be that you drink that. Yeah. So I remember kids that would do that. So I didn't know if you were like, and then I went into Sprite with Pepsi and this, and that's how I kind of got this idea to do that. But that wasn't obviously the route. But
yeah, no,
you're into science, and then obviously the rapping and the songwriting. But tell me about the cartoon and the animation ideas behind the visuals you put together for the record.
Yeah, like I really love cartoons, and just like I grew up watching Cartoon Network, and I think like a lot of my music gives the same kind of happy feeling that just watching Cartoon Network might give you. So I just found like all the cool animators that I could, and I was like, yo, let's make this series. So it's coming out soon. It's not out yet, but it's like on YouTube, and at the end of every video you get to choose your path. So it's kind of like those
yeah, like
where you would flip to page 43, but instead it's through YouTube. So choose this video to, you know, open the door, choose this video to go back and escape from the aliens, or, you know, whatever it is going to be. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. I've seen I remember that. I remember that with books. Like it would be like, okay, do you want to, you know, turn to page 35 to continue this story? And then it'd give you an opportunity to reread it and kind of try to take every little pathway. And they've done that with like Netflix shows too.
They did it with what was it called? It was
I think they did it with Black
Bandersnatch.
Oh yeah, and they did it with Captain Underpants. I just
Yo,
know
Captain Underpants was lit, dude.
yeah, they had the choose your own ending. So it's gonna.
So I
So
used to they used to have the flip back and forth pages where you could make like a little moving character on Captain Underpants. Like it'd be like, and he would like
oh
move,
really?
so turn into like one of the things where he was actually moving. It was really
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
He's
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah.
That's so awesome. Okay, so the series isn't fully out.
No, it's not out yet. No.
Okay, okay. That's awesome. That's really exciting. Did you have a like? Is it done? And you kind of
Yeah.
know?
Oh,
Okay.
it's done. It's done.
Okay, it's done.
I'm like slowly supplying things out because I still have so much stuff that we haven't put out yet. So I just want to like make sure that everything gets its own time to have a reception. I don't want to just like dump people with stuff like right immediately. So
And is it a song per video, like for the off the EP? So it's like 6 videos, or like
yes, it's kind of
tell me
like
how's
that.
this gonna work?
Yeah, the songs are included in the videos. So it's like some of them are synced to music, some of them are just like talking scenes. But the basic plot is like I get abducted by aliens and I have to get back to Earth. And then it's just like a whole, thing in between there. Because the EP is called Back to Earth. So
Sure.
It makes sense.
I love that. I can't wait to see it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What about performing the record? I mean, you get signed to Asylum, which is a part of Warner Records, is a huge label. You get to put out this EP, but this is all happening while we're quarantined, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that weird to you? Like,
oh man, it's super weird. Like I imagine that normally it'd be like a tour situation, or there's so many things that could happen if it wasn't quarantine. But like I said before, those relationships that I had made from, just You Write, I'll Rap, the New York freestyle thing. I met this guy Free. He ended up being part of this thing called the Hoop Bus, which is a Black Lives Matter bus that kind of travels, coast to coast. It's a huge thing now. Like Michelle Obama had reached out to them. It's really become a movement. And he like, painted the whole bus, and it's a mural, and they build basketball courts, back and forth across the US. So cool enough, he hit me up. He's like, yo, it'd be great if you could like climb on top and perform your EP up and down Melrose. So we just did that, and there's going to be a video coming out soon. So I did get my little chance to perform. Yeah. So I was on top of the bus, like screaming the songs at everyone at round 2, and like on Melrose and Fairfax, and so on and so forth.
Wow. So the bus just, oh, wow. So you just got to cruise around LA and just play your whole record.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Was it like strategically, like with the bus, is that like, do people know like, okay, it's going to be cruising down Melrose on this day at this time?
Yeah. We had put flyers up on my Instagram and my stories, like, yo, I'm going to be at this stop at this time. It was really cool, dude. Like people showed up. It was just great.
That is awesome. And then
it was a really good reception, especially because it's just this huge 40-foot bus decked out in art. And I'm just like running on top of it back and forth with a speaker and a mic, and it was just great, dude. It was so cool.
That is so cool. And I love that you guys were able to kind of capture that as far as visually. And I really want to see the video. That is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's sick. We had this really great videographer who's like, I've rarely seen footage that looks that. It's just so good. He's just so good at what he does. So I was like, man. I even called him after. I was like, yo, like, I just watched the video. That's so crazy. You're so good at what you do. Like, how do we do more stuff?
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot. You've been able to take care of a lot of things as far as like visually and kind of really being creative outside of just writing music. I mean, right, to kind of push this record out. You've got the cartoon series, you were able to do this bus performance and that video. Are you working on anything new as far as music goes? Why or is it all just been kind of like focused on the visuals to what you've already wrote?
Yeah, no, it's both. It's I'm still actively like promoting Back to Earth and making sure that it's received. But at the same time, like I'm writing new songs all the time, and I'm about to go out to Maryland to record some songs with my friend Sensu. I'm about to go to New York to record my homie Ashby. Just like setting up camps and writing, and you know, making sure that we can get this next project done too, because it's a never ending thing. Like, you know, maybe when the next people call up, I'll have a new one done the same kind of way.
I love it. I love it, dude. Thank you so much for talking with me today too, John. I appreciate it, man.
Of course, so much.
Yeah, I have one more question for you. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Cool. I was actually anticipating this because I knew it was about, you know, the whole career thing, but it's kind of the same when every time anyone asks me this, just keep doing it. That's it. Like, if you just do it every day, you could be horrible at making music or like actually like a awful singer or songwriter or whatever you are. But if you just do it every day, like, you will be good. Like, it's really not even a talent-based thing all the time. It's an effort-based thing. So just putting into your craft, and also like, yeah, on the craft side, like, you will get better. Like, I used to be horrible. Like, I used to not be able to do anything. So yeah, it's just like, if you wake up every day and you just commit time and energy into your career, that's all it takes. Something will happen at some point eventually. And it's also content based. Just like, the more content you can put out, the more shots. It's like the lottery. Like, the more shots you have at winning something and one of them going well and going received. Like, if you post 50 TikTok videos a day, obviously not saying to do that, but one of them is going to go eventually. If you just keep putting out music, like, something's going to take off and catch, and it just gives you more opportunities. So that's the advice.